So the idea is to give you kind of pre-departure briefing, even if you've already been there, and we ask, I forgot your name, Stu. So because you've already been there, if you can give us, what the idea was to try to share experience on what has been going really well and what went not really, really well when you moved there, and trying to, when you move away abroad, there is always a incredibly exciting time before you leave, and then you arrive there and you feel, I'm going to some year on my own, what am I going to do? And then clearly you make friends and then everything's okay. And you enjoy the time there, so it's kind of giving me kind of little tips on what you could do there, where clearly you've been already, no, everything about Singapore. And then the idea is to go through a general kind of University of Southampton standard presentation of what you should be doing before going there, and trying to give you tips on what you can do while you're there to make the most out of it. And then any question that you have, anything that you want to ask, anything that pops out in your mind, please ask now or later. Okay, let's just start with Stu.
So I lived in Singapore for half a year in 2012, so it wasn't actually part of anything to do with ASTAR. It was on my undergrad placement, but thought I'd just tell you guys about the positive and negative things that I found about living there. So apart from like the really obvious things, where it is in the world. Sorry, my slide's probably a bit. This is a lovely photo that I took. One of the only nice photos that I took. It's very, very good place. Yeah, apart from the obvious things about where it is, everyone knows Singapore's clean, honestly, safe, and all the people there were really, really receptive to us and really, really friendly. I found that as well as like meeting Singaporeans and people that live in Singapore, I also got to meet people from just all over the world. So at the university where I was at NTU, they seemed to just have exchange students from everywhere. So there were always people there. There was always new people arriving. There was always people leaving. And I found personally that I just met so many people. There was always people around like every week that wanted to explore, wanted to do things, wanted to go away traveling, wanted to just people to hang out with, as well as the actual locals that live there, who are also a very diverse group of people. So I really enjoyed that. It's a bit different to what we have here, I think. Also, they seemed, certainly at the university that I was at before, they seemed really keen on like team sports and like organised activities. And we never had problems like organising like games of tennis, games of football, and things like that. What I wasn't prepared for when I went before was the amount of public holidays that we seem to have, and I think it'd be really useful. Like I would say, find out when they are, note down when they are, use the time to like go away and do things, because I think I arrived in July, and I think we had 2 days off, 2 Mondays off, like 3 weeks apart, like within my first month of being there, and like I wasn't prepared for the. If I'd had that time again, I would have used that to go travelling or had a long weekend somewhere, like go to leisure and travel about. So I think it's a lot different to what we have here, whereas we have like the May bank holidays and the August bank holidays and Christmas. They have a lot more, and they seem to be scheduled quite well throughout the year. And within that, transport in Singapore I found was very cheap. And also there are hundreds, or it seems hundreds, of low-cost airlines, and they all have sales, and it's really good to constantly check when the sales are and where you can go for as cheap as you possibly can. That's good. I didn't cook for 6 months, and I love that because if you don't cook, you have to do any dishes. I found that food was really cheap. It was really diverse. The Western food maybe wasn't necessarily the nicest thing. We did eat a lot of McDonald's, we ate a lot of Subway, because I ended up craving bread because I guess I have a little bread-based diet in the UK.
Did you go to the street market in Singapore?
Yeah.
That's probably really cheap.
Yeah, it was really good, but all food is so cheap. Like, there's just no point. If you're by yourself, there was no point in me buying like raw ingredients from the supermarket, because it's cheap to just buy something that was really cooked, but someone else done for me. And I also found that going out and eating out meant that you were always out with other people because as opposed to, cooking by yourself in your house. Obviously the bad things about moving away, you're a long way from home. It was really hot. I struggled every day, particularly working in a lab, leaving work in trousers, so I ended up leaving work in my shorts and my flip-flops and then getting changed. It rains a lot, heavily. Yeah, I also found that inside the building was really cold. So everything was really well air conditioned, but you kind of you have to leave the house with your jumper. You can't wear it because it's so hot. But when you get inside the buildings, you tend to I worked in the lab with my jumper on and then my lab coat because it was freezing in there, always freezing. My friend who's out there at the moment told me that she finds the cost of living generally higher than it is here, but she thinks that the money that you get from the ASTAR funding is generally enough and it should be manageable. Other things, I tried to open the bank account when I was there before because I was basically getting stiffed on making withdrawals on my UK account. But you need a minimum of $500 to open the account, and you can't withdraw that $500 without undergoing charges. So you need to keep at least $500 Singapore dollars in your bank account at all times. I also struggle working in the lab with the daylight because it's not like here where you get on hot summers. It gets dark at 6 o'clock every day, and I found that leaving work in the dark and you never really see the sunlight if you were like that to that time. So I didn't particularly enjoy that. My friend in Singapore also said she's being treated very much like a student, and I know that someone from my lab group who went out previous to me, she left early because she really didn't enjoy it because she wasn't given access to certain bits of equipment and because basically she was there as a student and not there as a researcher. She said she really struggled with that, but I think it just if that's happening, then let's just talk to your supervisors and get access to things. I know that the person in my group, she was working within the NUS building, but wasn't a part of the university, so she wasn't allowed to use the university facilities for certain things. So I know she struggled with that. I didn't have that sort of experience, but that was something that I asked and that they mentioned. I also found that if you have to order a chemical, it takes ages to arrive. It's not like you get it the next day or within 2 days, 3 or 4 weeks, those sort of things. I took a coat with me when I went before. My advice is don't take one, because I took it, I put it in my wardrobe, I never touched it, and when I left 6 months later, it had mold in it. So I threw it in the bin. But yeah, you need jumpers for going inside. It was a big one. I really didn't like the tea in Singapore. So I got people to bring tea out for me because I thought it was disgusting, and then put condensed milk in it, and it was really sweet and horrible. I also didn't really like any of the soft drinks in Singapore. I found they were all really sweet. So I drank a lot of beer, and they don't really have 3 types of beer, so if you don't like beer, I struggled, I ended up not really wanting to drink it, because, it's the same thing all the time. And yeah, the lack of bread-based diet I struggled with as well. We found ourselves going to McDonald's far too much. So my advice would just watch out for that. But I didn't have a kitchen when I was there before, so I couldn't even make myself a sandwich, but I'm hoping to have a kitchen here. That was really all I had to say about my positive and negatives about being out there.
Did you have any questions? Oh, sorry, go on. Did you go back out?
Yeah, I'm going back into that. So yeah, this was my email, and then I went back to my page. I mean, I liked it.
I think I'd agree with those points. It is very cold inside.
It's like when you leave the building, it's getting warm with heat. I've forgotten that as well.
I spent more time cold than hot in Singapore.
Yeah.
Even the taxis are cold, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
And
The buses as well.
Yeah.
The buses are so hot. I would sweat when I was waiting for the bus, and then get on the bus and have to my jumper on.
Yeah.
It was really
And yes, I think the rain, from my opinion, it seems to be quite heavy, and then it quickly stops.
yeah,
So,
so
yeah.
just I don't know if you found this. They told me there was rain in a dry season, but I noticed like it rained every day, but it didn't particularly rain for very long. It would just really come down.
What time of year are you there? Because
Between July and December.
yeah, and like early year, it doesn't really rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never looked at.
And it's not humid, it's so much nicer.
Okay.
You're just like, oh, this is really nice, and everyone else is like, no, we don't like this weather. I'm like, oh, I like this weather.
So I'm going to go on to just a quick cultural brief. Don't take any notes because I'll give you a copy after we finish. Just talk you through some things to think about. So on the plane, you'll get given a landing card. So just put it in on the plane, and you need to make sure you keep a copy in your passport throughout the time you're there. So the main airport in Singapore is called Changi Airport. So it's about an hour and a half from our Malaysia campus, if you ever wanted to go and visit that. In terms of transport, Stu's already mentioned you can get buses very easily underground as well. It's really cheap, you just get a card and top it up. And then taxis, just be careful with taxis because they're quite strict, the laws are quite strict, so they can't just stop in the street, you can't just hail on the street, sometimes you have to actually call them. Maybe make sure you've got a number you can call and arrange if you need a taxi. As you probably know, Singapore dollar is a really easy one because it's just 2 to 1, so at the moment it's about 50 pence, about 48 pence for Singapore dollar. Make sure, of course, as usual when you're travelling, that you let your bank know that you're going to be away. And then if you go to Malaysia or anywhere, again, make sure they know about that. So that, yeah, the monsoon period is October to December, and then again in April. So you're probably going to hit it as soon as you get out there. It's fun then, but then hopefully it'll get better in January. Make sure you drink a lot, and as we already mentioned about the cold, make sure you pack jumpers and things. You might want to think about if you take anything like ibuprofen, just pack a few of those because you might sometimes need a prescription where you might not need one here. Just be aware of that. And then I recommend maybe just checking with your doctor or on the travel website what kind of vaccinations you want to think about. They'll recommend various vaccinations. I mean, they'll say, for example, Japanese encephalitis. I didn't take it, but it's up to you how far you want to go with those vaccinations. And maybe if you're not sure, maybe just check with our insurance office or your doctor. And then there is a high risk of dengue fever as well, so you make sure you take precautions against mosquitoes, cover up, wear DEET or something like that. Did you have any problems with them?
I found that the mosquitoes were alright actually.
Yeah,
I didn't really get bitten that much.
I get months in food, so I think yeah, it's not too bad, but make sure just be aware that there's a risk of dengue fever and malaria and things like that. So there's Singapore, very strict laws, get fined for anything, I think eating on the underground, things like that, bringing drugs into the country, all sorts of things, you can get fined, and just make sure that you're aware of some of those laws and jaywalking. So yes, that's one I was very aware of because I do it all the time.
To be hide behind pillars to find you for jaywalking.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend got done on her way to work. Just
Really?
like the policeman was literally got hidden, and he stopped her halfway across the road, which I think is probably more dangerous than the
Wow. Yeah, it's very strict. That's, again, I was speaking to a taxi driver when I was out there, and they don't get earn much, but he said there's no way I will ever stop without being called because they get fined so much they can't afford it. So it's quite strict. So yeah, and all the taxis they have hired, so you can see if they're free, but you can't really call them on the street. So if you're giving documents, some of the sort of smaller Chinese do think, but in large parts of sort of Asia, it's customary to sort of give it with 2 hands and then receive it with 2 hands. Just be aware of that one, you might notice it. And then, have you thought about insurance yet? Or?
Yeah, I sent an email to the insurance team,
Okay.
but it went direct me to the website, but then I didn't really quite get if I had to do anything, or whether I could automatically have this or how it would work.
We're going to say we think you.
So in theory, you should be covered directly. The thing is, it depends what the insurance the university covers. So normally you cover when you travel like here, so where you are within the premises, where you should go in. you're covered. But if you're doing, I don't know, you go traveling from Singapore to Malaysia in your holidays while you're there, you're not covered in that bits.
Okay.
So, or for example, while you're in Singapore, you decide to, I don't know, climb a building, you're not covered by the insurance. So it's pretty much like here, you're covered by, for example, your home until you arrive at university, while you are at the university, and when you travel back. So in the same way, you're going to be covered from when you leave UK until you go to Singapore, when you're working within the environment that you need to work in, university, whatever it is. And then when you travel back, everything else is not covered. So I need extra travel. This is why I think they direct you to the website to see everything is covered within that. So if you're doing extra activities, I would suggest you to really check.
Does that even mean, say, if you're playing tennis at the weekend, that and you like fell over and break your arm?
I'm not sure that's covered.
Yeah.
It is covered because my flatmate broke her ankle and she used the university insurance for that.
Okay.
And I got ill when I was there. I was in hospital for
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
they cover
it's
it all.
just the draft in the website, so it should be written, everything is included there, but if you do any extra,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So you think it's probably worth taking out an extra?
It depends what you're planning to do, and also it depends if you want
I think
extra.
maybe in Singapore you separate insurance, but in Singapore the university would cover it. Seems to be too crazy.
Yeah, so make sure that you've got your next of kin know where you are, your contact details, and try and make sure that people know what your plans are and things like that. Just usual general sense, common sense. Then you can see the link. We'll send this out to you later. It's the link for the insurance website.
Yeah, I think there is, if you go back 1 second, there is a, go back. So the trip commencing after the 1st of January, students can make use of it, and of course, I will use it on online form. So in the online store, there should be a form that you complete to let the university know that you're traveling there, so you can be covered.
Yeah.
But I think they direct you to the internet and see exactly what's covered under the university insurance. So I don't think, for example, I don't know. To be honest, I have no idea. You just have a look at it, and everything is, if you're planning to do extra trip or an extra, or if you actually want to be covered more than what the university covers.
Yeah.
Because we put Dominic Kirby, he's the head of insurance. It's his contact details there if you just want to double check. Is there any questions? In terms of risk assessment, have you been told about risk assessments yet? So when you're doing a trip like this, you need to do a risk assessment. We have a template. We're trying to find out from the graduate school who's in charge of the risk assessment, but I've been told that really it should be your supervisor that should sign it. And so I think it's something you should discuss with your supervisors. And then you'll need to make sure that you take a copy with you and keep it with you, and then that your supervisor has a signed copy with them as well. And that's just to cover,
Do you know what the risk assessment is? So you're all aware.
We didn't have that before.
I know. This is.
Exactly.
So at the University of Manchester, we have really concerns about people going and doing stuff without having a risk assessment in place. This is also getting into university liability in terms of insurance, and trying to also force you to think about what you're doing there, which is the risk that you kind of might incur doing illegal activities, and what you can do to try to prevent. It's the same thing if you're working in a lab. Clearly, if there is a chemical that is corrosive, maybe you should put the glasses and gloves in. So as you would do, we're just trying to make sure that you, when you're there, you actually understand the same things that you would do here in UK. So we're not entirely sure in which details you should go through it. It also might be that if you're working in lab, there might be slightly different procedure in Singapore, so you just need to be aware of what. So everything should be detailed in there, if there is any extra things. So we're trying to find out how much detail you should go, or if it's just a standard one for everyone traveling in Singapore. By any case, if you can keep a copy with you, and give it to supervisors, so at least they know they sign off. And it's just starting now, so I know that it wasn't before, but now everyone's starting to get really concerned about people traveling. So, for example, even academics traveling, deciding to go, civil engineer deciding to go to Syria and do because it's safe and traveling without any risk assessment in place. So clearly Singapore is not like Syria. Nothing bad is going to happen. It's just to ensure that you know exactly which are the risks that you find traveling. And a lot of the times it's just you know really what you should be doing. Not keep on the money together, just keeping a copy of the passport, whatever it is. It's just a reminder that everyone knows what it should be.
Yeah, it's good for you to think about it and just in your head. It makes you think, right, what do I need to think about? So it's good to know to do that. So, I don't know.
So clearly you know all busy. Never met you before. And so I'm looking after international partnerships, and as a part of my role, I also look after PhD students going into spending a period of research time in one of our WN partners, so Worldwide University Network. And I normally do a pre-departure briefing where we're trying to encourage researchers to think about how they can make the most out of it. Clearly, you already know, but it's just, you know, sometimes you don't think about. Just to ensure that you have everything in place. So we decided to use that might be good for you to just go through the same process. I hope it's nothing that you haven't thought about, but so clearly I guess you already plan you booked the flights? Kind of? No, not yet? Okay, so you should book your flight and clearly plan accommodation. So the idea, what we also encourage is to give an itinerary of everyone you said, your family. At least your family should know when you're traveling in case of emergency, how they can track you out. Always as a part of the insurance and risk assessment, so at least they know where you should be going if something happens. And the risk assessment one we will cover. So one of the things I would suggest to PhD students is you might know what the other PhD students are doing in your group. You might not be entirely sure. And as a Southampton, we are really interdisciplinary. So I'm not sure how much you're actually talking to your colleague, but it would be nice if before you actually leave, if you can go around and say, I'm actually going to Singapore. Is there anyone, or I don't know if you can actually ask them what they're doing, just to have an idea of what they're doing. Because a lot of the times you might be in Singapore and meeting someone that does something incredibly similar to one of your friends here in Southampton. So what we're trying to encourage is trying to get people together and try to facilitate a relationship, because you might give a contact of someone in Singapore and the person that received the contact might actually suggest you they collaborate with somewhere else. So it's an idea if you share, you might share the one more willing to share content. And this is actually how you do a lot of publications that can help during the PhD. And talk to your supervisor before going what you're trying to achieve. I'm sure that you know pretty much what you would like to do when you're there. Just ensure that you have it clear in mind. You know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly what it wants you to do, and you might not be doing it, but it's okay. At least you discuss it with them. Trying to find out about workspace, library access. So if there is anything that you can do while you're here, or if there is anything that we sorted out there, have a look on the browser website. Well, clearly, if you've already been there, you know exactly what probably you've already been set up with the ID card. I'm not so sure. Yeah.
I did that for the institute. But yeah, they just sort of adding it.
Oh, okay. But if there is anything that you might be willing to do while you're here, so there are countries, for example, especially in the States, you need to go to a procedure and you need to fill a lot of forms. So if you fill the forms before you arrive there, it will be quicker. So this is why trying to find out if there is anything that you can do while you're here, so that when you arrive there, you're ready to go and you're not going to waste time going around offices and trying to find out what. Yeah.
I've just filled out my temporary employment pass with a team people, which takes 4 to 6 weeks. So.
Yeah, so it's all this kind of.
Okay.
So it's this kind of planning. So everything you can do here, please do while you're here. So when you are there, you can start to do your own things. So for example, if you know the chemicals will take forever to arrive and you already know what you will need, if there is anything that you can speed up or trying to have someone there or your supervisor there that can already order things for you. So when you arrive, you can actually start doing things without waiting around for long. Have a look at research, location, and institution. Have a look on the website what they're doing. So when you arrive there, you can already find out that there is something that you. It's not exactly what you should be doing, but you might would like to be involved. I don't know if there are any groups and meets. I don't know exactly which. You kind of doing all different pieces of research. So if there is, have a look on the website of what's on offer, and have a look if there is anything or events that you would like to attend while you're there. And have one of the suggestions is when you arrive, please go around and introduce yourself. Because a lot of the times you might be sitting there waiting for someone to come to you and everyone is so busy doing their own things, it's going to take you probably a couple of weeks before meeting someone and trying to meet them there and trying to understand what they're doing. So the suggestion is when you arrive, just invite people for coffee. I don't know, bring biscuits. from UK, just offering them around, so kind of get to know people while you're there quickly, and they might be helping you also if you need anything. So during the visits, make yourself accessible. Yeah, just saying, introducing yourself is actually the first thing that you can do, trying to ensure and engage with everyone else. That well, it's not clearly you know a group of UK students coming from here going there, possibly at the same time, so it might be easier. But the idea is within the group, I guess you will all be working in different groups. So just talk to people, go around and talk to people. I know that sometimes it's difficult, but you don't even have the language barrier. Everyone speaks English, so please do it. Go around and introduce yourself. I don't know actually how it's on events, on if there is a possibility of giving a paper, or we always suggest if there is any opportunities or ask, can I actually present my research? And then it would be a good idea to introduce what you're doing. So there might be either researchers around that might be interested in collaborating with you, and then that would be a good idea on how you can build links. So if there is a possibility and opportunities, or you can just ask, sometimes don't get if you don't ask. So they might want to say no, but why not? And network and take advantage of your location. Please travel around, make the most out of it. You're there. You don't need to travel, is it 8 hours flight, 9 hours, maybe more? Yeah, so you're there on the other side of the world. Please travel around, meet people, do things. And if you need someone and they can travel with you, I'm sure that people, colleagues at the university or the research center you work with, they might be willing to travel with you. You already have free here. So if you need anyone to travel, please do visit and plan. React to opportunities, make the most out of it, please. While you're there might going to be a lot of things happening. I know they might be busy doing many other things. But if there is someone coming to you and said, oh look, we would like to, there is this project, and if you think there's a perfect fit with you, just say yes. Don't start to say, I'm not sure if I can do it. Just say, why not? And then discuss it maybe with your supervisor if it's something completely different from what you should be doing, but not always saying no because it's not part of the research. Just be open and think about outside the box. Please share photographs. And how many of you have Twitter? Do you have Twitter? No? Yes. So if you have Twitter, please share the photographs with us. So what we're doing, we're trying to encourage everyone who's traveling. If you don't have Twitter, just send us an email with a picture. Because we can use them also for to make a profile or news events on our website, and we would like to use your pictures because you're there more than having a really nice picture of the campus as is on the website. Even if it's you going around with other people from the research center, that's actually what we're looking for. we created a hashtag, this ASTAR. So, and also for us it's a good way to see that you're safe, that you're doing things, that you actually are engaging, and we can show how much is valuable to you to be there. So we can show around our students are there, they are engaging, they're doing things, and they're doing research, and they're also having fun while they're doing research. They're not sitting on the time at the desk. Keep in touch, especially in the emergency. So if there is any problem, please contact the insurance office, your supervisor, here and there, and then I guess Lizzie if you have any trouble. So don't wait until it's going to be. But clearly, if you are lost in Singapore, we can't really help you. But if there is, so if there is anything like something happened, or clearly you have troubles collaborating, you don't have access to resources, please don't wait to the time that you can't do anything and you've been wasting months and months of your research where you're there and then you decided to go home without results of your research. Please contact us before, and if there is anything that we can do to facilitate or to solve your problems, so I'm more than happy to do, and stay safe. So after the visit, you're going to return. At some point, you will be asked to complete a report. We're not exactly sure how it's going to look like, but we're working on it. The idea is that the report is not only, so what we would like to see is not only the academic part, so not only what you've been doing. What we're interested in particular, what I'm interested in, is actually trying to find out what was the benefit for you to be there. For example, you had collaboration that wouldn't have happened without being there. Or I have a new network of researchers or colleagues that I can work with while I'm there. I met a huge amount of people that actually connected people within my groups with someone there. And what you're planning to do in the future. So it's not only within your research, but if you're planning, for example, to apply for funding with someone else, to return to Singapore, outside, your exchange or your visit, talk about your supervisor, about your experience, so if you find anything. So there are no stupid questions and there are also no stupid results. A lot of the times what we're trying to do, what we find really difficult to kind of map out, trying to understand what's happening is actually how valuable it was for you and how much you've done while you're there, apart from your research. Because clearly when you're there, you're building your network for the future, you're building connection that you can use when you're looking for jobs or postdoc or possibly a lectureship. So there are a lot of things that you can do while you're there. So just think about it and think about how your supervisor here or there, they can help you to build a network. So if you find someone that works in a different groups over there, and you don't have access to that person, ask your supervisor if there is a way that you can put you in contact with this person. Tell us if there are links that you would like to develop further. So again, if there is anything else that you would like to do across Singapore, or I don't know, I had this brilliant idea, I don't really want to work with Singapore anymore, the institution, but I would like to work in Australia. They come to us and we can try to see if there is anything that is already existing, and work with your supervisor to see if there is any other things that you can do with that piece of research somewhere else. So you can expand even your links. And please let us know if there is anything that we can change from the presentation, if there are any process that doesn't work, if there is anything that works and we shouldn't be changing, if this presentation is too much and you don't really need it because you really know everything about it, or if it's a good as a reminder, if there is anything that we don't cover, please let us know, because then we can clear things. So I put a couple of links. The website, there is a Singapore Society, I don't know if you want to work it. Yeah, Southampton, that's good. So they're really well organized and they do a lot of events. So if you want to be in touch with them once you're back or before even going there, I would strongly suggest you do. So at least it's always like to have a friend that's there, you know, friend of a friend that can help you when you're there, or they can suggest places where you can eat. Locally that you might not even know. It's always there, extra help. And we also put the foreign travel advice for Singapore to have a look if something happens, please check it. Even if you travel As I say before, in your spare time, please have a look at the website before you travel. And yeah, so we have a Twitter account and also is hashtag. So, and if you're doing any blogs, if you're into any type of technology, you're doing papers, online blogging, please let us know so we can put it on our website, so we can actually advertise what we're doing there. So you don't need to create anything from scratch, but if you're planning to do anything, that would be really useful for us to know, so we can put in the list of what's happening. If you don't want to share, it's fine. Doesn't matter. So do you have any question? No? No? Okay.
Alright, so we're going ASTAR